Hello and welcome back to the game room, all 1,475 of you. We are 25 subscribers away from 1,500. Really would love to hit that sometime this year, maybe even this quarter. Who knows? Worse things, stranger things could happen. You know what? Do you like games? I love games. I love playing games. I love collecting games. I love talking about them. And as it seems more and more nowadays, most people who talk about games don't seem to actually like the games they're talking about. Well, if you want to follow someone who does like the games they're talking about, why don't you hit that subscribe button? I put out a new video every Tuesday. One of my nice people that have joined us recently reminded me I do have a Patreon. In the link down below, check it out. And to you, Ali Harris / Party Ninjas, you the man. But anyways, that's not why you're here today. Today we are talking about two-player NES games, specifically games where there is simultaneous play. This is something that I may not be the biggest expert when it came to NES games growing up, but as I was a little brother playing with an older brother for the entirety of the NES run, we had to learn what were some fun two-player games. And as no one has time to wait their turn, we had to find some games that allowed you to play together.
There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life. This is my game room.
So yeah, let's dive right in. Now, I want to get a couple of games right off the bat. I consider these to be some of the GOAT two-player simultaneous games. You can't talk about two-player games on the NES without talking about Contra and Super C. Both of these games equally incredible. Contra I probably have more fond memories of than Super C, just because of the 30-man code from Contra. The going straight forward levels were always a little bit more iconic to me than the top-down ones. Though Super C has the amazing bubble area towards the end of the game that can't be missed. But if you're looking for a fun game to play with two players, you can't go wrong with either of these, because you can have one player who knows what they're doing carry the team. The other one, you can use the 30-man code and have them just die incessantly. I did that with Jen. And what's nice about these games is you can steal a life from your partner. So I used to always try my older brother nuts, because I would run out of lives and be like, all right, man, let me get some. Let me get back in there. Come on, let me play mate. And Super C only has the 10-man code, but still is just as much fun. Though honestly, I'm always going to give it to Contra. But yes, everyone knows about these games. But I consider them to be some of the GOATs. When you're thinking of two-player simultaneous co-op, you gotta think of the Contras and Super C. Not Contra Force, though. That game is terrible. And the other one is gotta be Double Dragon 2 for me. Now, bear in mind, all these games we're talking about are games, for the most part, that I played when I was a kid, when it was current, with another person. So these are tried and true games of the time, at least, that I enjoyed playing. So take that as you will. But Double Dragon 2, super fun. I don't remember Double Dragon 1 not being two-player, but also I probably wasn't old enough to remember Double Dragon 1, really, when it was on the NES. I mean, that's kind of how it felt for a lot of these, because it just seemed like games appeared. I don't know if I'm probably talking to the older people or aging myself, but specifically people who grew up in the late 80s. I felt like, I don't remember ever having not Double Dragon 1 and 2, not Zelda 1 and 2, things of that nature. But Double Dragon 2, the amazing ending where you fight your buddy. Unfortunately, you can hit each other if you play the god-awful B mode, which no one should ever do. It's a lot of fun. You can screw your partner over, walk off ledges. Oh, and bear in mind, I captured all the footage for this video by myself. As you see, I only have 2 hands, so either I used the demo footage or I tried to play two-player games as one player to not rip-roaring success. But yeah, Double Dragon 2, another great game, and these are all recommendations for if you're looking for some two-player multiplayer action on the NES. Those 3 games, hours of fun. But let's dive a little deeper. Now, this one is probably a personal favorite of mine. The issue with this game is I feel like a lot of people only played it one player, and it's not a very strong game if you play it one player. If you play it as two player, it's a phenomenal game. And it also really teaches spatial awareness, it teaches map layouts, it teaches memory, in my opinion, and that was Spy vs. Spy. I had such a ball playing this game. I loved Mad Magazine comic strip with the white and the black spy, watching them hurt each other, hiding bombs, setting traps, and then seeing people fall for them, falling for your own trap because you forget you put it there, and then escaping, getting out of there. There was actually a sequel to this game that was in Nintendo Power, a screenshot of it that never came out. And for years, I was wondering what became of that game. But Spy vs. Spy is so much fun as 2 players. Yeah, the music can be a little drolling, but it is just such a fun time. You got combat, you got screwing the other guy over, there's a varied amount of levels. I still would play this to this day. I enjoy the hell out of Spy vs. Spy, and you should check it out if you're looking for a solid 2-player game on the NES. Speaking of solid 2-player games on the NES, nice segue, we are going to look at the amazing Pro Wrestling. Pro Wrestling, if you want 2-player action, you can't beat this. You can get into those endless rhythms where you're just picking the guy up, knocking him down, picking him up, knocking him down, throw him out of the ring. There's the referee, the guy with the camera. The controls aren't great, but the characters are all hilarious. You got the Amazon dude, the dude with the big star in his face. I remember loved the icon of the dude with the star on his face, and then when I was playing it, I felt like I was some dude in the giant pink pajamas he was one of the only guys who had that weird kick move and the flying elbow, and just a lot of fun. A solid one to play with 2 people. It's fun against the computer too, much more so than say something like Spy vs. Spy, but Pro Wrestling, definitely something you should have in your collection if you're looking to playing 2-player games, and not much of a learning curve on it. Going on next, one of my favorite cartoons growing up was Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, so obviously I had to get me some Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. This was a Christmas gift, I want to say 1991, 1990. I don't remember when this game came out specifically, but it definitely was, it had to have been 90 or 91, somewhere around there. But I remember getting this. I remember opening up the present. I feel like it was a long silver box, and I got this, I got Paperboy, I got Jaws, and I got some of the old school wrestling figures, not the big rubber LJN ones, but the little ones with the ring where you could launch them and all that, and they were all, it was great. In this game, you know what's funny? I'm not the hugest fan of this game, but the 2-player mode is surprisingly good. They even allow you to carry your partner, which I used to always get so upset because my older brother liked to do that and annoy me and be like, come on, put me down. But they look true to the characters. I think I was just a little disappointed that there wasn't Monterey Jack or Gadget. It's really just you're playing as Chip or Dale, but they look like themselves, and they, it's got a decent amount of levels, decent challenge. It's one of those old Capcom Disney games that are very, very good. And Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is still a fairly cheap game too, easy to pick up. You'll notice most of these are boxed. If it's a box game, almost all of them were my own childhood games, which is a bonus. Like all these games I've been playing for the last 35 years. I know, I'm old. All right, next one up was another game by one of my favorite NES publishers, which was Rare, and that is a game called Snake, Rattle, and Roll. Now, I love Cobra Triangle, but I actually was a bigger fan of this game growing up. I was never any good at it, never knew how to do anything in it, and even today, playing it, the 2-player for the footage, I felt like it was the first time we're like, oh, I think I might know how this game plays. Very, very difficult, though. But just, I remember being obsessed with just the cover. It's one of those things where, back then especially, you had a few magazine blurbs, but that was about it. And the advertising just, it looked, I mean, look at this guy. Look at that cool little cute cartoony snake face. The guy in the back, that's me. That's my older brother. You know, I'm like, yeah, I'm the blue one. That's Matt, the red one. We're having a great time. This is going to be awesome. You know, one of those games that I really want to get into more. But at the time, a lot of fun. And again, simultaneous co-op. You did not have a lot of simultaneous co-op games, especially ones that looked, I mean, this looked like Cobra Triangle, but in a 2-player mode. Definitely one I need to put some more work into. And this one was probably my favorite of all of the 2-player games. Me and my older brother played the hell out of this. I played this all the way from when I was a kid, all the way to high school. I updated the rosters numerous times, and that is Baseball Stars. probably one of my all-time favorite sports games. I don't even really consider this a sports game. It's funny because it's by SNK, and I really have no other point of reference or experience with any SNK games outside of this. If you remember, I didn't play Metal Slug, not a big fighting fan guy, but this was just so fun going in and setting the rosters, playing it. The baseball was crisp, it was easy to do. You could throw off-speed pitches, you could control the base runners, hit home runs, all that. Steal stuff, and the sound effects are just classic. The startup music, so good. Just make sure you push in the select before you turn it off or you lose everything. And we got to the point where we lost everything several times, so we actually wrote it all down. There is a leaflet in my collection somewhere that has the entire rosters for the Jammin' Jockeys and the Foster City Marlanders and the down south Chino Hills people and Scary Monsters. All the different teams, and just a good time. Very good time, and a very fun two-player game, in my opinion. Baseball Stars, a real classic. You should try it out, pick it up. And the nice thing about all these games I'm talking about is I think the most expensive one I have maybe is $15, $20. I mean, at least it was. Not considering it being out of the box. But yeah, all these games are fairly affordable. Contra might be the most expensive one. All right, let's move on to an infamous one. Everyone knows it. Everyone rented it. I don't think anyone owned it because it was brutally hard, and that is Battletoads. Yes, I know you can't beat the game. This was not one of my childhood games, but I did play it when I was a kid because I had to have rented it. Everyone else did. We got to the Turbo Tunnel, and then we didn't get anywhere else. And I feel like that happened many times. And even if you manage to get past the Turbo Tunnel, the ice level's no slouch either. But Battletoads, really fun. There was something so special about playing at the same time, because there were so many games where you would take turns, which I'll probably do a video talking about take turn two-player games as well. There's a bunch of those as well, but it just, on the surface, this looked like it should have been so amazing, and unfortunately, because it was so difficult, it just never got the time put into it. And it came out fairly late in the system's lifestyle. I mean, I think the SNES was out soon after this game came out, because this was a 91 release. Not super late, but still, I don't know about you guys, but when the Super Nintendo came out, I just completely abandoned the NES. I mean, I picked it up again before the N64, or probably during the N64 era, because there wasn't much content. But yeah, Once you got that Mario World popped in there, it was like, oh wow, who's ever going back? I could just play this all day. But a game that I did have when I was growing up that inexplicably the box and manual went missing is the legendary Ivan Iron Man Super Off-Road. And this game is not only an amazing two-player game, it is an amazing four-player game. And it is still fun to this day. We had a multi-tap that I believe we borrowed from one of my older brother's friends because we didn't get rid of stuff, so I don't know what happened to it. I mean, maybe it broke, maybe we traded it in when we got the Super NES, which is another video. But this game is so much fun. And the only unfortunate part, I believe, was the fact that you couldn't choose the color of car, as I always wanted to be the gray car, and we always had me, myself, and my dad who would play. And so there'd be three of us, and then the fourth player wouldn't be there. And I always be like, man, I wish I had a fourth player. I could be the silver one. I really want to be the silver one. Because I don't know if there was a blue one. I can't remember. Even though I played all these earlier to capture the footage. But Super Off-Road, fantastic game. You know, a lot of these, you're not going to get days of use out of. But if you're looking for a nice party selection, like all these, where you have a Saturday to play for 4 or 5 hours, you can get 30 minutes here, 40 minutes here, 45 minutes here. This is a good one. This is a very, very good one in my opinion. Okay, let's go to one that is a little bit out of my wheelhouse, another sports game. So I don't remember playing this a lot, but I always have fond memories of playing it, and that's Black Box Volleyball. I'm not a huge fan of all the black box games, baseball, soccer, golf, any of those things, but volleyball, I always was a fan of. I don't know why. It just really, either it was the fact that you could spike the ball and knock people over, or it just had a nice feel to it. There's no music, there's no anything other than sound effects, but volleyball, I remember trying to get my wife to play this a few years ago, and it did not go well. I don't know if it was on the Switch online or not, but I mean, that's kind of the problem with playing the online games sometimes, the Switch Online, is that not having the NES controller, sometimes you don't remember how to play it. But man, volleyball, fun time. Very much enjoyed it, and another good recommendation to check out if you're looking for some two-player games for your NES. All right, this one is probably a game that I played more than most on the NES. This was a game that I could never beat, much like Cobra Triangle. I actually beat this game for a video I did for my buddy Nefarious Wes when, I don't remember what the subject matter was, but I really don't. I really don't. I think it was games under $10, and that is Marble Madness. And not only is it a phenomenal one-player game, it's a really fun two-player game because you're going down at the same time. You can see the alternate pathways. You can laugh while your buddy gets eaten by the other things. And also, you can kind of work in tandem. You know, a lot of games, you're screwing the other person over, or one person's getting screwed over because the other one's not going. But I think it follows the person who is the farthest ahead, and it brings the person in the back along with them. So especially in certain levels, like in level 4, where you can really get screwed by some of the some of the contraptions, you can skip it all together if you have a friend playing with you. Now, I've never beaten it this way. I think the farthest I ever got this way was to the reverse, the mirror level, which was always a mind trip. I don't think I even got past that level until I was in my 20s or 30s. Because, and like I said, I only beat it recently. Because, you know, I don't go... There was a time when I would go back and try and beat these regularly, you know, every couple of years. That kind of stopped once I went to college. But Marble Madness, man. Very fun game. Yeah, you can save your name and your records, but they all go away once you turn off the game. All right. Now, the game that I got with my NES... I was not even aware this existed. When I heard that I got Mario Brothers, I was upset because I didn't want another copy of Super Mario Brothers. But then I noticed, hey, Mario is blue. That's weird. And plugging it in, it's actually a very fun two-player game. I know I'll get some hate here. I like this more than I like the original Super Mario Brothers. Oh! I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of it. I've tried to like it. I like this game more. I don't know what it is. I like this game more. I loved when the ice things came and would make the whole platform go icy. I remember getting so mad at my dad because he would always kill those things. He'd be like, no, we got to get every platform icy. We have to. And it's just dumb fun. This is the first thing where you really see Luigi as Luigi, because even in Mario Brothers, the first one, I think it's just a slightly darker Mario, or because you're taking turns. But in this one, you very clearly are a different looking sprite. So that was a big bonus. But just, I don't know, a simple game. It's a single screen arcade game, which I'm not a huge fan of in general. But playing this one two players really, really is a great treat for me. And I enjoy it. All right. This is a game that is not great, but for some reason I have very fond memories of it. It really needs a turbo controller. We used to use the, the control stick or the power, not the power stick, whatever the big controller thing is that had a turbo button. We used to use that to play this, that and stuff like track and field, because God knows this, you know, many a person got broken wrists trying to do that in old NES games. But Caveman Games, not a very good game. Every time I've gone back to it since I was a kid, I don't play it very long. I mean, hell, I tried to do the fire lighting thing, and to this day I still can't remember how to do it. And not everything is at the same time, like the pole vault, which I love the pole vault because you can even get it where the T-Rex eats your guy if you miss the vault. But just, you know, a lot of things like this in California games and world games and track and field, those kind of mini games, at the time I couldn't get enough of. And there was just something about this, I don't know if it was the cover, the guy getting whacked by the caveman, the guy getting eaten by the tiger. I always enjoyed it. I always really enjoyed it. And even to this day, like, this is something I wanted to do for a noob gamer with Jen. I think I wanted to try her to get to light the fire, because I can't figure it out to this day. So, I don't know. Let me know if you think that'd be something fun to watch. But Caveman Games, still a very solid two-player game. All right, getting down to the last three. Now, these last three, all the other games outside of one of them was a game, outside of Battletoads, was a game that I owned as a kid and played as a kid. These last three are ones that I didn't play at all when I was a kid, but now in my older adulthood, I have found to be pretty damn decent. And let's start with a game that you wouldn't think I'd like, because I'm not a big puzzle game guy, but that's Palamedes. Now, I discovered this from a James and Mike Monday of all things. They were just playing it randomly. It looked pretty solid. I picked it up for maybe $20, $15. And I played it with Jen. I played it with my buddy Sean. And we had a great time playing it. It's actually really solid. I can't remember the rule set whatsoever. I was watching the demo, and they were dropping combinations, which I wish I could remember how that worked. But even then, it's still fun. I think you have to collect a certain amount of things to, like, either 1 through 6 to do 5 lines, or other things to do a lesser amount of lines. I don't remember, but still, not almost like magical drop, it looks like, because it's a competitive, highly competitive between the two. But I've never been a big Dr. Mario or Tetris person, but Palamedes I do have quite a good time with. And if you're looking for something a little off the beaten path, good game. Still pretty cheap too. And another one that we did have. We had this. I never played it. I don't know why I didn't play it. Maybe I just wasn't into basketball, but Double Dribble. Double Dribble surprisingly holds up to this day. I had a blast playing it. I don't know how to do the exploit where you do all the 3-pointers on the side. Every time I try and do it, I miss. But still, I mean, it's no NBA Jam, don't get me wrong, but man, you can't help for a better NES or NES basketball experience, in my opinion. It's a really solid game. The intro takes forever. Oh my god, I don't know why they make it take so long for you to get the actual game. You gotta watch that stupid American flag blimp go up. But yeah, anyways. And last but not least, we're gonna end it on the legendary Eliminator Boat Duel. This was a game that I picked up because of the damn misprint. Because of the misprint on a Game Chasers episode. It's all Eliminator Boat Duel, where it's all misspelled. Apparently that's the case on every single copy of it. And the box just looked so ridiculous. I don't know why. There's packing peanuts in this. I guess that shows you I've never opened the damn thing. It'd be funny if there's no game in here. Watch, live on camera. That's when Luke realized. No, there it is. See? I don't know if you can read that, but Eliminator Boat Duel. Eliminator Boat Duel. I guess they put this in there because it didn't have the styrofoam at the bottom. I should flip that around. But, you know what's funny? I got my buddy Wes to pick this up when I visited him in Colorado for $5. Even then, that was cheap. And I think, actually, this might be the most expensive game on the list. But still, solid game. Me and my buddy Sean played this for a good couple of hours one night. There's all these various different branches for either have a kind of a top-down race, a drag race, a forward race, almost like Rad Racer. And it's just fun. Like all these, once again, none of these are games that are going to be the best thing in the world, but especially if you're looking for something where both people can play, where you can have a fun time with the NES, this is what I recommend. And I just realized I left out a very important one. I left out a very, very important game, and that would be the first game I ever played. What game is that? Well, longtime fans of the channel know you cannot have a simultaneous 2-player NES experience without the legend, Rampage. There's no 3-player option. The Wolf, unfortunately, is not in it, which I always was bummed when I remember seeing the arcade back in the day, but this is literally the game I played when I was 2. When I say I've been playing games since I was the age of 2, I was playing Rampage. And I know it's not the greatest game. I know it can get very boring. But there was just something so fun about jumping into the bridge and getting in the water, seeing the guys hold up their fists, eating your friend when he got turned into a human, and then trying to ride the buildings as they got destroyed. A lot of good times in this game. One of the only games I got my mother to play, which, if you know my mother, is quite a feat, is Rampage. So let's end it on that. I think that's got 17 games we talked about. Whew, I'm going to lose my voice. Let me know if you guys have any 2-player NES recommendations. I have enough games that I didn't put on this that I could probably do another video about, and as well as games where you take turns. Because once again, that's something I'm a big expert on. I didn't play the Castlevanias, the Mega Mans, the Metroids, but I did play a lot of 2-player stuff. So I have some good experience with what to look for in that regard. Anyways, guys, I release a new video every Tuesday. Let's hit 1,500 subs sometime this year. Like I said, I have a Patreon if you want to check it out. I will have more information coming out for that for you guys as far as what I want to do, because I really want to get some feedback for where the donations go to as far as what we pick up. You know, I'd love to do a review of something I buy that you guys recommend. And yeah, it's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.